You've already watched 13 Hours. No, I don't mean that metaphorically. Strip away the fact that this movie is centered around the conflict that American soldiers experienced in Benghazi, and you're left with a cookie-cutter action film that doesn't have an original bone in its body. But maybe I'm being too harsh. Let's give the movie a chance to stand its ground and make a case for itself. For a movie that claims to be a true story, how much is fact? And how much is fiction? "13 Hours" is a film about the 2012 attack on an American compound and CIA annex in Benghazi, Libya. You follow Jack, a man who flies in from his comfortable life in America to serve as hired help at the American compound. He's escorted there by Roan, an American soldier who's already comfortable in Benghazi. He meets the other soldiers at the compound, while tensions from the outside begin to rise. After some days pass, at about 9:40 p.m., terrorists began to flood the compound, eventually cornering the Americans at the CIA annex. They're surrounded by terrorists. They're overrun. They are scared. They are bombed. They're saved by Libyan allies. And most, not all, of the soldiers get to go home. And that's the entire movie. Seriously, that's the gist of the whole film, and that's also where my problem with the movie lies. It's virtually indistinguishable from any other generic action film, which makes it hard to take the film seriously when you know what twists are coming before they even happen. Remember in the beginning when the movie claimed that all of this was a true story? Well, to an extent, it's not lying. There was an actual conflict at an American compound in Benghazi during 2012. The characters introduced in the film were indeed real people, and the characters in the film that were injured or killed did actually get injured or die, respectively. That doesn't change the fact that some of the film's scenes might have been, I don't know, dramatized, exaggerated, faked. Like seriously, Michael Bay, I know explosions are kind of your thing, but there are other ways to keep a viewer's attention besides blowing something up every couple of nanoseconds, like, I don't know, giving them a story to follow or characters to care about. For real, characters? More like don't characters. The only characters I felt anything for was Jim from The Office and Jimmy Orr, since they were the only characters that were given even a shred of personality. Every other character is this boring, uninspired, steroid-pumping Chad that has close to no screen time, and the times they are on screen, you can't even tell who is who, since every character looks and acts the frickin' same! They all speak, act, and react the exact same way about everything. If they aren't insulting their base chief or the people living in Benghazi, they are trying to sound as badass as possible to an almost comical extent.
We need some air support. Spectre gunship and ISR drone American firepower, man.
I know what we need. Going from a rescue mission to a suicide mission. Let us loose. Lives are at stake.
You let them take that consulate. Where do you think the next target's gonna be?
Mo, get in the fucking car now! Go! Now! Go! Maybe you haven't noticed it's open season on Americans in Benghazi right now.
What's that?
Hurricanes? RPGs?
And in the end, that is my major tripe with 13 Hours. It's nothing you haven't seen before. Every character is so one-dimensional, every scene only captures your attention because there's always something that's exploding, and the entire plot, while true, only covered the Benghazi conflict on a surface level. It's like Michael Bay, while trying to brainstorm ideas for a new movie, read the first 4 sentences of the Wikipedia article on Benghazi, then said, "Bored now!" and made an entire feature film based off of that. But you know what? There's a reason this film was positively reviewed by audiences. Well, ignoring the wacky and borderline delusional reviews left by people who enjoyed this movie for all the wrong reasons. People like explosions. And that, combined with the fact that something is always happening on camera and music is always constantly swelling, means that 13 Hours isn't a movie you're going to be bored by. It's going to keep your attention throughout the entire almost 2.5-hour runtime. But it's not the kind of movie that has a hard-hitting emotional impact on you. And it's not the kind of movie that you'll remember remotely anything about after viewing it. So, my final verdict on 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi: it exists. And that's about the highest compliment I can give it. It kept my attention and I was never bored, but I was never satisfied with what I was viewing and wanted to feel something about the characters I was supposed to feel something about. And there was so much more Michael Bay could have done while directing to make this film stand out. But at the end of the day, it's just another mediocre action film that will be generally well received by the public, enabling more mediocre films like this to be made in the future. And for that reason, I will be giving this film a 2.5 out of 5. You don't need to watch 13 Hours. Because you already have.